go. All right, here we are now on the 30th episode. Unfortunately, you didn't get to be the first one to be on the new TMB, right? Before TMB stood for the mental breakdown. I told you about it though, that I'm changing the name to the mental breakthrough. I think it has a more positive ring to it. And but I had a podcast yesterday, so that
Well, just erase that. Erase it and make me number one.
okay. It's already up there. Your number, but this is the fifth episode with Robert Habibi. You are the most welcomed guest on the show.
That's a privilege.
And you're gonna drive this conversation, right?
Okay. Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to turn off my camera.
Absolutely okay with me.
All right. Very good.
I don't know about how some of our guests are probably a little disappointed, but they'll probably be able to get through it.
They'll understand once things evolve, or they'll understand. Actually, as I mentioned to you before, I'm much more comfortable speaking without video. So, how was your week, CD?
My week, it's been pretty good, except for one of my oldest cats, who's actually, well, his birthday, along with his sister, they're Meesap and Guppy. He just turned 7. They turned 7. These were kittens that we had back in Phuket. You might have been there for like when they were close to when they were born, or you saw them maybe early on. Those ones, we brought them up here. We brought like 8 cats here between snakes and cars and jungles. We've lost some cats along the way, and one of our cats, so Meesap, he's the oldest. He's tied with his sister, is very close to dying. He's been coughing for several years. There was another one that had this bad cough. We took him to the veterinarian, and then they gave us medicine to give to him, and I was like shoving it down his throat. He hated it and was like gagging on it, and then having diarrhea, and then he still died. He actually died quickly after. So we decided, just, for me, I don't go to the hospital for anything. I wouldn't do that to myself. For some reason, sometimes I just feel like cats are, I don't know why. I think they're wilder in lots of ways. They can take care of themselves, and he has been doing really well. He actually got really sick and recovered several times on his own. So I think we made the right decision by not taking him in. But he's really weak right now. This is the worst I've seen him. So this is Ice's. This was like her baby boy until Gabaga came, right? Gabaga, I say that now. I know you last time you have a hard time referring to Chaya as Gabaga. You can still call him Chaya. Just know that if you call it to his face, he's gonna get mad at you if you come up here. So that's why I use Gabaga to refer to him. But when Gabaga was born, then obviously her baby boy, son, human, became her baby boy. But Meesap was like mama's boy to Ice, but before our son. So she had a very close relationship to him. After that happened, and then Guppy was like daddy's little girl. These are like our first cats, so they're very significant to us. And Guppy was always and still is daddy's little girl. But during that time that Chaya was born, baby, still even now he's very dependent on his mother. That Meesap kind of went over to me, so I developed a really close connection. He sleeps with me on the bed. He's got this deep purr. I always say his purr is therapeutic, and his vibration is like om. It's like it heals the soul. I believe he actually heals himself with his purr. When I lay next to his purr, I feel like I can feel it resonate throughout my body. So that is actually very significant and sad time. He's last night we thought he died. We were looking for him this morning because I couldn't find him anywhere. It was raining. I don't know where he went. And then a lot of animals like to go and die out in nature, which is actually what I want to do as well. And I told Ice that she kept looking for him, and she found him and then kept talking to him and stuff. I'm like, he probably wants to just leave, detach himself from all these worldly connections. Maybe I'm looking at it too deeply, but I mean, on a very, I don't think that's a deep level. I mean, it's deep to humans, but I think that's actually our nature, is to detach ourselves. That's how I want to go. So I said, now I realize when I'm building my land here, like I said, I'm preparing for my death. I need to create little secret places in case I go before Ice, even though I plan to live longer than her. That's what I told her, but I don't know if I will. And if I want to go out, don't come looking for me. Let me die in peace. Don't come disrupting my final moments, transitioning into the next realm. So I tried to get her to not do that to Meesap, but and then I told Meesap though, hey, don't feel embarrassed that you're dying. Stay with us, and he has stayed in the house so far. He's under the couch, very still, very like his eyes, just his face. He looks like death, kind of.
Wow, really?
Mhm.
So let me get this straight. Uh, these were siblings. Uh, Meesap is what is the other one? Has the other one passed away?
No, Guppy. We have Meesap and Guppy. There was three from that litter. That the mother was a stray cat that, and at that time Ice didn't even like cats. But I just thought it would be funny. It was a rainy day and there's this cat like on the ledge, and it let me pick it up. So I brought it in. I said, "Hey, we have a new cat," and I brought it in the house, assuming that it would just turn around and run. But it ran into our bedroom, and then like it was pregnant at that time, and then and it was hiding under our bed. It gave birth several days later. She seemed pretty clean. She didn't seem like a stray cat. I think it's possible somebody, in Thailand, they don't generally spay their cat, so they might have took it in, kind of nurtured it, and then realized, "Oh, this cat's pregnant. I don't want to deal with babies," and maybe took it and dropped it off somewhere. That was something I thought was a possibility. So we took her in, and she gave birth shortly after, and then Ice actually helped give birth to those cats. She was so attached ever since, and has become a cat person.
Mhm. I remember. I remember when that stray
Yeah,
cat came to your
yeah.
house.
I remember you. Well, that was my birthday party. I don't know if you. I feel like you were there when the kittens were kittens too, like brand new kittens.
Both, both, both. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there before the birth because I remember you said we got a stray cat who's come in, and actually we were talking about it anyway. Maybe I didn't. I remember you talking about you.
yeah.
We used to feed it, and gradually it came closer and closer, and finally it
But that was a
stayed.
different one actually. That was Mustachio. Yeah, that one was more of a stray cat. That we had that one first. That was, I kind of was warming Ice up to cats. That one never really. It came inside a couple times and then would turn around. Yeah, that one never. But we did feed it. It did come around. We had like she was kind of liked the idea of a cat. Is cute. But the Phak Tong, which means pumpkin in Thai, she that one was actually the one that uh that was a different one. That was this after the stray cat that came around.
So so you've had both of those for 7 years, and
7
just
years.
one of them is just is basically sick and dying,
Yes.
and you don't know why. You have no idea what caused
I,
it.
I looked into it. I think it's thyroid. We've done or something. There are different things. We looked at different uh things. We went online and got some different um special foods to eat, special diet, had him on, but he was eating less and less, and he hasn't eaten in a couple of days.
Oh,
So
hasn't eaten a couple of
yeah,
days.
yeah, no,
So
I mean, he's on it. I mean, he's recovered in the past by just kind of nurturing him, getting special foods, and this time, yeah, it doesn't seem like he's
wow, so that's obviously very sad, especially for you because ever since Chaya was born, you he's adopted you.
he's adopted me. I mean, Guppy's still my still daddy's little girl, but um yeah,
Wow, that's pretty sad.
yeah, it is really sad. I mean, he's he's the most of all of them. He's the most house cat too. He kind of sticks around the most, so he's definitely going to be missed. We have one Hummus, which is like a half brother, same mother. She shortly after she had those, she went out and had another litter. The father's probably different. And then that cat's kind of like a wild cat. We're close. When he dies, it would be sad. He was the one that was gone for 19 days one time. We thought for sure he's dead. Just the jungle ate him, something happened. And then he shows up, tore up after 19 days. We don't know what happened. If he got caught in a well or something, or trap, or was injured and couldn't move, or got lost, or possibly we think he does jump in people's cars. He might have got to the other village and found his way back, though, eventually, like jumped in our neighbor's car, that because they just come here to tend the land.
Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know?
I would love to know. And we had tracking. I was watching. We used to have these tracking collars on him, and so I knew everywhere he went that time. The battery, it would go out after like 3 days or something, and then and then I don't know if it's that time, or one time I found it, but he had broken the collar off on a fence, and I found the collar, but he was nowhere to be found. But that might have been a different time. But basically, so he's a wildcat. We love him. We're attached to him. But he would be. We kind of expect him to, something could happen. I mean, Meesap's just always there. He's the one that's always hanging out, always just purring, loud purr on our bed, sleeping with us. So definitely more difficult for that reason.
Yeah, you're really gonna miss him. That's tough. That's losing pets. I mean, I remember my brother, he cried for a week when his dog got run over. He had that dog for like about 8, 9 years, roughly, maybe more. And one day he was out doing some work, and the dog went with him, and somebody backed out of their garage and just ran over the dog, and he was besides himself for at least a week, man. He was just crying. And it took him a while to get over it.
Yeah, it's a good learning experience for Gabaga, though, because and he's I mean, it's weird. He says, no, it's okay if he dies. I'm going to do magic on him and bring him back to life. So I don't even know where he got that idea. He hasn't. We told him everybody dies, and it's sad. I didn't come out and say I'm going to die too, but I'm ready for him to ask. I can tell he kind of is thinking about it, and I'm obviously going to tell him yes. I don't want to traumatize him to the extent that he has to, think about it at night. But I want to realize like everybody dies. I know he made the connection. He hasn't really talked about us. He did actually say one time, if you die, I'll or something, I'll bring you back to life. I'll do magic something. I want to reinforce that that's not actually possible. But but then I did ask him one time, if I die, will you cry? He said, yes, I'll cry. So he understands death, and he did have a couple fish that died.
You think he understands death?
I mean, do we to what degree? I mean, understand what aspect of death? I mean, that is irreversible. That's the key point. I mean, understanding all its intricacies, of course, maybe not, but in some ways, I think he can understand it. I rather have it introduced early on as something that should be talked about. Of course, this is one of the main ideas of my research and everything, that we do avoid it. So he is close to it. He's already had one cat die. He was actually the one that found out. He saw the cat. We had this was Somjit, who was when we had these dogs ravish all the chickens and turkeys, and they chased one cat up a tree, and she died like the next day. She literally scaredy cat. I guess that's where the phrase came. Scared her out of the tree. She just like fell over and was paralyzed, and then died a couple days later. Another one was scared. They were young, and maybe a weaker batch of kittens. These were kittens that a mother cat came and had on our land, so we just adopted the kittens. The mother left after, or maybe was eaten by the snake. But this, and there was another one that was scared, never really recovered. That was always kind of like traumatized from these dogs that just ravished. They ravished all our chickens and turkeys and chased some of the cats up the trees. They got away, but they were scared. So anyway, when that cat ended up dying, Gabaga was the one who found her under the chair. And then it was funny though, because uh after that, every time a cat was sleeping, he'd run up and touch it and kind of pat it to make sure it wasn't dead. So he recognized it, that one. And he's part of the ceremony. We've had a lot of animals die where we bury them, and that kind of, the idea of burying, I mean, of course, there's a ceremonial aspect to burying or burning or anything. But I think one part that's good is it kind of reinforces the idea that death is irreversible. I mean, that's the only thing I want him to know, is that, yeah, we're not coming, that, these cats aren't coming back to life. But he knows that because we put like a little grave where the cats have died, and we ask him, do you remember what's under there and stuff? So yeah, I think he kind of understands the concept.
I'm just trying to think when I first realized that death is final.
Yeah.
Um, I guess mostly it was from watching adults and their reaction to someone dying is what I remember most at first, as when I was young. Because it didn't affect it. Just my parents were alive, and so it didn't really affect me when I heard that some relative died or
Yeah.
someone else died
But
in a
what about
crash.
pets? I mean, for me, I didn't have anybody close to me die until long after I understood what death was. Really, I didn't have anybody in my early years. Some people do, and that's one way. But that's why I think pets are good. To experience death with a pet is kind of. I mean, like I had hamsters and stuff. I mean, early on, did you
Yeah,
have any?
yeah. No, I do. No, we didn't really have pets. No, we did not have pets. Growing up, the first pet I got I was like already in like 19 or something, 20. So,
Okay,
uh, I no, as a child, we did not have any pets.
except your brother had one when he was
Well,
7.
no, he
Younger
was
brother.
older. No, he was older. He didn't have a pet when he was young.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm talking.
Oh, the dog was 7 or 8. Okay, yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, the dog was. Yeah,
8 or 9.
he had the dog for 8 or so years, eight
Oh,
or
okay.
nine, seven, about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And he got really attached to it. Um, but yeah, I just trying to think. I just remember that one time some distant relative was in the police force, and he got into some kind of a gun battle with smugglers,
Ooh,
and he got shot and killed.
wow. Sounds intense.
And my father went to the funeral, and he saw the body. My father's in the military, so I guess for him it wasn't a big deal. But he saw he even I don't know why, but he told me about the gunshot wound. Basically, it went in from the chest with the small hole, and the back was this huge gaping hole.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I can't imagine seeing a dead body like that. I would never want to do something like that."
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you're right. Seeing pets die is a good introduction for children, young children.
Yeah.
Um, and 18, 19-year olds, they don't have a fear of death so much either. They go
Oh,
to war.
I mean, that's actually that's why, yeah, I mean, that's probably the least fear of death. I was invincible for a good 10 years.
Right, right. I
Like,
guess that's how it's supposed to be. That's biologically
yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
programmed.
That amygdala is not fully developed or whatever. Uh, fear response so it's raining here. If it's noisy on your end, let me know. If it's hard to hear, I'm trying to think. I do have these earphones. Maybe I
No,
should.
no, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, and
There's nothing.
yeah, I think this microphone's kind of noise cancellation. That bug.
Yeah, you have a good system going on there. So anyway, so I guess
Yeah,
it's a sad chapter here, and so I guess it's been weighing on you, this cat slowly passing away, and
yeah,
I guess it's tough. And I like what you said about the purring and how it resonates. And I'm just going to put words into your mouth. The vibration is very soothing, the frequency.
Hmm.
And healing. I think you said healing. That's interesting. Yeah, I do believe in that. I mean, we are energy after all, and we vibrate, and there's certain vibrations that, well, not certain. They're all every vibration affects us, and that's why music can change our mood so easily.
Yeah.
And the cat purring can definitely, especially if you're attached to it, can can do wonders for you. Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the cat story. You want to go with this, or do you want to move to something different, or
Um, well, well, I do want to bring up now. Unfortunately, I didn't watch. I didn't, you know me. I don't watch YouTube because I never watch videos. I want to just listen to audio. But I sent you a link. I'm still planning to watch it, but there's so many things I plan to watch. I never actually get to them because I time to actually sit down and watch. But um, one of my past guests and a good friend, Ross Clift, who likes to listen to us or listen to, I think he listens to all the podcasts. He commutes to like the Bay Area from Sacramento, and he just enjoys having listening to some conversations. He's listening right now somewhere, and we always go down rabbit holes with you know conspiracies and whatnot, and I know a little bit about some nefarious entities maybe in our arena. And so it's interesting when you mentioned Esalen, and I didn't know anything about Esalen. It sounds like that sounds like the place that I'd enjoy, or even kind of having something similar to that, where you just kind of live and have a community. Seem like you mentioned, kind of hippie, but there was also a drug culture in that area. And then sometimes, if you look at some of the, I know a little bit about some conspiracy type. When I hear I mean, there are many conspiracies and there are many conspirators, and I don't think they're all. I think that's the big one. It's not like there's one conspiracy and there everybody's like working together. I think there's multiple conspirators, and some take advantage of what's going on with other people. They may come together and work on a similar cause when it meets their, just like anything. I mean, some of it's not even conspiracy we see, or I mean, conspiracies that we do see. But I guess this one specifically, and it goes back to that one. I think I mentioned it before in another podcast that there's a Russian defector who was like a spy, and they kind of mentioned how it would take generations to kind of infiltrate Western society, and in some ways it seems like we have reached that point where there was a lot of preparation to kind of infiltrate certain ideas, to confuse us, to turn us against, just to put in divides on one way or another. We can definitely say there are divisions right now. We could also say there always have been. So from a conspiracy perspective would be that these actually have been put in place kind of, over past decades or longer, and that they, it takes generations. You have to kind of like almost brainwash or, a psyop on entire generations to raise a generation thinking one way. And I guess that Esalen, there were some things. I mean, Alan Watts, I know, had some connection to their, LSD use, mind control. There definitely are things, and obviously hippie. I mean, unfortunately, I think a lot of nefarious things come out of love and beautiful things. So, for instance, like a hippie movement has this love and peace to it, but then, just like I've heard it, people go to these ayahuasca retreats, and there will be like one person there that's just like an energy. He'll drain everyone's energy. He's able to like suck, because it's an opportunity for you to open up to these, beautiful things, but it makes you vulnerable. So I wish I had watched that video. I don't think you did either.
I did.
Oh,
I
you did?
watched
Okay,
some of it.
so good. So maybe you could shed light if you were aware of that, or if there's anything there that rings true. Again, not that the whole project is was intentionally, I don't know what the video said. So maybe if you can shed light on anything I said there, if that makes sense, if you can see, like, do you think there are, and in general too, do you think in such beautiful things as love, harmony, we talked about it, Ross and I talked about it, like just the whole concept of, I consider myself very Taoist, Buddhist in my philosophy and way of thinkings, but those are also very passive philosophies in a lot of way that go with the flow and are don't try to resist things with force, and you are tolerant, and of course these things could be weaponized against you. So go ahead, I've said a lot, take the floor.
Well, I did watch the whole thing, but I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah,
it was a psyop. Well, Esalen, I'm not sure if it was initially set up as a psyop.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I mean, it could have been. It could have been. I mean, those are like Murphy. I've forgot his name. Actually, he's still alive, or he was when I was there back in 2010. And his son, he's got a young son. I mean, I think he had a son when he was like 60 some years old. And he had a son who I think is like maybe close to. He was about 27, 6, 7 then, so he's probably in his late 30s now, maybe about 40. So yeah, the original founder, one of them is still or was alive when I was there. Well, I know that the PSYOP is true. I mean, the CIA was looking at LSD, and all the intelligence agencies were looking at mind control and using it for various ways to manipulate, coerce, gather intelligence, to affect people. Sure. So they were experimenting with all kinds of stuff, including LSD, and drugs was certainly a big part of Esalen at the beginning, because that was, after all, counterculture, and it was that was set up in early 60s, 62, just before.
So by the time you got there, I mean, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was there
40, 50 years later. It might have already came and gone. Like, it could have been set up as a real love thing. It could have got and taken over as an op, and then it would have left and moved on. So,
it changed completely. I mean, based on that video, it was very exclusive. You had to be like invited. It wasn't open to all. Now, whoever can pay whatever $1,000, $2,000 a day is welcomed
and work, right? I mean, you.
No. Those people get to stay.
A day.
A day. Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be more than 1,000 a month now, because I'm talking about 12 years ago when I was there. So it could be more. Just like in Thailand, everything's up 20, 30%. What was I going to say about that place? It's still kind of a druggy place. It's not. My experience with these personal growth, human development places, is that it attracts lost and confused souls, which makes sense, because they're trying to find themselves.
Esalen attracts that, or drugs attract that, or what?
Probably both, but definitely Esalen does. And actually, any personal growth, human development center.
I guess that makes sense by its nature. That's kind of what it's promoting. I mean, yeah.
So it could be even ashrams. Ashrams in America, or really anywhere where they are helping people to become more grounded, and more in line with, I guess, nature and life. It attracts these people who are just lost and dazed and confused. So once you get a whole group of them together, that's not a healthy place.
Okay.
And the people who are there to help them, they themselves were, I don't want to sound negative here, but they themselves were pretty messed up, because I've experienced it.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you were there, so I mean, you're partly talking about yourself, right? I mean, so you don't have, it's not like you're talking bad about other people. I mean, was that a time, I mean, yeah, what I mean, give me
I
your
wasn't.
personal experience. I mean, why? Yeah, why did you end up there? Or like,
Okay.
how did you even hear about it?
I ended up there because my younger sister spent a year there, and
Okay,
she was seeking, but she'd been there like 4 or 5 years before I went.
okay,
Um, and I went. Actually, the first time I went was in 2002. Yeah,
for a
2002.
day or something.
I'm sorry.
You just you went to visit, but you didn't do
I
the.
went there because my sister was there.
Oh, and you were allowed to go there without paying the
I
thousand
went to
dollar a day.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to visit. I just wanted to go see the
Okay,
place because
okay,
she'd been there a year, um, and um, and I just went to visit there for just a day, and I could do that because I was her brother, and she kind of showed me around, and I thought it's a beautiful place. I mean, it's right on the ocean,
Big
in the
Sur
mountains.
area, right? You said,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh,
that's. I know
not
that's
just
an
taking
amazing
photos. It's the
place.
most beautiful place, arguably one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah, no, I felt that way when I was, even though I was, yeah, I was driving. I don't remember it that much. I was stopped at there. Unfortunately, right before Big Sur, I stopped at this a bar I remember and drinking, and I don't really remember um driving, but yeah, it was um like a different planet almost. It was definitely something I didn't know. It was funny. I had no idea that place existed all my life, even though I'm kind of from Northern California. And but that's not to me. That's kind of a coastal Northern California. I wasn't. I'm like from the hills, kind of Northern California. Further inland in the mountains. We don't to get there. You almost have to come down south and then go up. So it wasn't. It's not my neck of the woods. But yeah, when I went there, is certainly beautiful. That Highway 1.
I
That
went there. I went there again in 2002 for a day, and I really liked it, and I remembered it very well. And then when I finally got a chance to go and spend some time there, that was 2010. So it was 8 years later.
Okay, and that's when you stayed for the several months,
That's
2010.
where I stayed for 3 months. Yeah,
So what kind
and
of
by
people?
then,
So by that time it's just kind of trendy. Probably there's probably no. Uh, I mean it's more. I mean it's been around for a long time. It's kind of established itself. So
yeah, it's very established.
it's not going to be as whatever. Yeah, there weren't.
It's very yuppie,
Yeah,
not hippie, but yuppie, and it does attract people from all over the world,
yeah,
not just California and all of America, but all over the world. Um,
yeah.
but and why did I go there? I wanted to experience being there. I had already been through my meditations, the ashram. I had already gone through my personal growth. So I wasn't. I didn't think. I don't hope wasn't as confused and lost, but it was just another way
Everyone
to.
everyone else was. You were the only one
No,
that.
no, well, I mean, no one's perfect, but
Yeah,
I do remember thinking, boy, people here are all
these be
really
all
nice.
fucked up, man. Look at these people.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, and it was free love, and there were some guys there who, like, actually Murphy was one of them, the son. They were like sexual predators because
Oh,
what
wow.
would happen is these girls would come, young girls, beautiful girls, lost and confused and looking for answers.
Yeah.
And then these guys would just, take advantage of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And,
That's same
and
as.
actually, I told some people that, and they put an end to it. I hope they did because
Yeah.
I told some elders there. I said, look, these guys are sexual predators, man, and they may not see it that way, but
Yeah.
these girls
No.
are vulnerable. They come
I,
here, they open up,
yeah.
they pour out their hearts and their pain and suffering, and then these
Yeah.
guys have been here a while,
No.
uh,
That's
and they
definitely
take
a
advantage of it.
definitely a play. I could definitely see that being that going down. I mean, just like well, any. I mean, you see it in churches, religion. Any. I mean, unfortunately, any organized. I mean, yeah. You're well. It's same as like. I mean, therapy. I mean, you're opening it up like you said to somebody. I mean, definitely. Or students. If you're a teacher. I mean, that definitely don't. It's definitely there's an ethical
Absolutely ethical, yes,
that's unacceptable really to
unacceptable.
of it and I mean yeah that's
In fact, Freud was the first person who said, look, if you're a psychoanalyst, these women who are coming and sharing their most intimate thoughts with you, they're going to become emotionally attached to you.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. That's
And you cannot have any physical contact with them.
yeah, that's. But I think he
Uh,
did it anyway. But
I'm not sure if he did or not. I don't
I thought
know.
Anna or something wasn't one. I don't know. Somebody.
It's,
I thought he was.
you know,
I think. I mean, I think he married though. I mean, I think they had.
I
I think
don't
they had a
know.
serious relationship. One of his first ones. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, a lot of
It
cocaine
could
there
be.
too. But
But even as a life coach, even
I,
when I was doing life coach, I realized I knew that
yeah,
when someone opens up
yeah.
and they share their deepest,
Yeah.
darkest
Or
fears and
yeah. I mean,
vulnerabilities.
yeah.
Yeah,
Lecturing. I mean, we had there's a lot of young, confused Thai girls students coming in as well. I mean, and sometimes and opening up about things that uh same situation. And I mean, teacher,
right. Yeah, teacher,
student,
yeah, same thing. Yeah,
doctor, patient. I mean, those are all uh things. So there's a lot of hanky panky going on there.
yeah. Well, yeah, but hopefully, um, they teach you when you're going through the certification program, whatever it is, that you don't do this. You don't take advantage
Yeah.
of
Well, yeah, it is important because I was gonna say it's not this. I mean, what you saw probably was sexual predator, but it probably the first time was organic. Like it probably wasn't. But when if somebody, I mean, because they also are thinking like for their first time that they're having a girl open up to them and there is a connection there, and it's probably real. And but then they leave. Those ones, if they come and leave and then they continue, they need to
yeah,
be
yeah.
aware.
The
They
girls
need to
will
be
come and stay a
aware of
month.
it
Yeah,
too, because it. I mean, yeah, that could develop for the guy too. It's not like it's having those thoughts make him a predator, but once he becomes aware that okay, this is there is like a dynamic here, and it's repetitive, and there's it's uh you're able to recognize it. Then
well, yeah, it was easy for me to see it because the guys, they were like part of the permanent staff. They
yeah,
were there, for years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And these girls, they'd come in and stay for a month, maybe a week, maybe 2 months. And so these guys, they knew how to play the game. It's anyway. I don't want to really talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Anyway,
what I did want to talk about Esalen was, um, well, the psyop stuff is definitely true. There's no doubt that it's not a conspiracy.
yeah.
The CIA and other agencies,
Oh yeah.
intelligence agencies, were experimenting
Well,
with.
and I highly doubt they would have stopped. Like, okay, we finished. We've discovered all. I mean, why would it not continue to this
Yeah, to
day?
this day, it's continuing to this day. It's probably much more
Oh yeah,
advanced in
yeah.
more subtle ways. You're using frequencies. God knows what they have now
Oh yeah.
to.
Right now, it's.
Yeah,
I mean, as we this this communication, yeah, they could be sending things. I mean, the Zoom audio. I mean, who know? Yeah, I mean, it's really. I mean, I believe that one thing is interesting about like evolution, and in some ways, it's almost. I mean, whatever is used against us, whatever poisons that are introduced into the atmosphere that are disrupting our bodies through intentionally or not. I mean, we know that the chemicals used that aren't basically the chemicals that we evolved alongside of, all kinds of poison in our air and water, most of it probably not intentionally to disrupt our body systems, but they all disrupt our body systems. And there may be times they discover certain ways that it disrupts the body systems, and they do try to use that. But I guess just from a positive end, that because of that, our bodies do evolve, and I believe humans are anti-fragile in the way that we're building up immunities to things at the same time. So maybe and I believe we can become immune to frequencies. I mean, there may be frequencies. Some people are more susceptible than others. But at some point, I think a negative frequency I believe that the human frequency is powerful enough to overcome, you know, I mean, just like anything. I mean, if it's unleashed to its full wrath, it could kill us. But if it doesn't kill us, it can make us stronger. I mean, that's a cliche, but I do believe all our environment, even though it's unnatural in some sense, we evolved in a way to adapt to a changing environment. So our environment has changed. It's changed tremendously in ways that are unnatural, but it's all natural because our body was evolved. I mean, everything is still to some degree natural. It might just be a concentration of frequencies, but those frequencies are still part of the universe. They're not solely created in absence from the all. So in many ways, I believe that we're becoming more and more resilient. And in some ways, I mean, it could be to prepare us for something, you know. I mean, I think about that sometimes, like if we were meant to do some sort of intergalactic, interrealm travel, and our bodies just needed to be more resilient to radiation and frequencies and poisons, because we'll need to, you know, we could be some sort of an experiment, not as a malicious thing, but they're trying to evolve us because, you know, maybe they want to mate with us in the future, and, you know, some of us will die, but we are actually all these negative things that we look at as like you know, it could be an evil force, could actually be what we need as life force, not just humanity, but all of life, the planet, in order for the planet to persist through whatever challenges we have in the future.
An interesting perspective, CD. It's well, it's a positive way to look at it.
Well, I mean, I try to always, right, at least have one possible positive outlook to it.
It's like some people would look at it and say, well, all these unnatural, quote unquote, unnatural frequencies that are not part of nature, they're meant to harm us. And you're saying, well, that may be the case, but also it could be the case that it's meant to help us adapt to these frequencies, because at some point in the future, we may be exposed to it in greater numbers, or, you know, if we're going to be intergalactic or whatever, it's just preparing us to be so. It's an interesting way to look at it.
If we were in a petri dish and they were trying to, you know, if you're trying to design an antibiotic, you know, you know, or antibiotic, or in like gains of function, where you're trying to grow something that's resistant to the antibiotic. I mean, that's how you would create something. So I mean, yeah, it would come at the cost of a lot of death, but as a whole, it could strengthen our species. Yeah,
interesting.
Or, I mean, actually, I mean, it does. I mean, it definitely. I mean, I don't think it's whether that's the intention or not. I mean, I would say that modern humans are more resistant to, you know, radiation, frequencies, poisons. You know, I mean, if you brought somebody from the past, they'd be resistant, or they'd be resilient. They'd be able to like live in the wild, but, you know, they're used to being able to drink water that has like a lot of bacteria. So their guts may be stronger to withstand like bacteria, because they were drinking, you know, water. But now, like humans, unfortunately, there are actually a lot of people that do drink contaminated water or don't even have access to water. But for a lot of society now, it's like, we know, oh, shit, I'm not going to drink water. So our guts are weak in the sense that they're not going to be able to handle the same bacteria. But I would say we're able to metabolize foods that are high in heavy metals and poisons to a degree that our ancestors wouldn't be able to do.
Because they weren't exposed to it.
Because they weren't exposed to how a lot. I mean, we're so exposed to high levels of stuff. I just kind of like, you know, and especially, I mean, if you're able to reproduce, you know, you're going to pass on offspring that is also more resilient to that, and the ones that, you know, yeah, that's just regular evolution. It's just kind of tweaked in a way that I mean, that's basically how gains of function works. Whether it's intentional or not, it doesn't matter. It's
It's the way it is.
It is the way it is. So we are getting
And
stronger. We are getting stronger at the cost of many people dying from horrific diseases and health complications because of it. But we'll definitely, as
the
a
stronger
species,
species.
it will strengthen our species to be resistant to these things at the very least. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure where we're headed in the future. We're going towards a more utopia or more of a feudal system where it's a dystopia.
Yeah,
It's
it's hard
hard
to
to.
say. It's hard to say.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's hard to say sometimes. I mean, I'm able to see both.
Yeah. So am
Clearly,
I.
I mean, not even. I mean, yeah, I don't think I'm over optimistic to see a. I think things are going to get rough, but I think things are going to. I could easily see something blossoming out of the rubble.
It's hard to say. I know this for a fact, though. I think 99.99% of humanity, maybe 99.9999% of humanity, wants a utopia. But unfortunately, it's that small 0.0001% who rise to the top. It's the psychopaths and those who don't care about anything or anyone who get to the top, who are willing to basically backstab, who are willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top. And that those types of people are unfortunately the ones who are running the show right now. And so if we allow them, then yeah, we're headed towards a dystopia. But the vast majority of people would prefer a utopia. Just want to live their lives happily and be left alone, and not enslaved by the system or be beholden by the system. Um, but it's always darkest before light. So I'm hopeful too.
Yeah.
I think somebody said it pretty well. They said that this COVID was actually a good thing because it gave people time to think, something they hadn't had time to do. They
Yeah.
were just busy working and trying to make ends meet and buy this and buy that and do all kinds of other things, football, whatever it was that they was occupying them with. And then now they had all this free time and they started to kind of question the whole system.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I can see that as being
A positive.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens. I know that there are a lot of these conspiracy. Going back to your friend, there are lots of these conspiracy theories, and a lot of them are true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we should. I mean, we should treat them as theories or hypotheses, but there are conspirators, there are conspiracies going on, and we got to question. I mean, I think we should question why things, why this, why that. That doesn't make sense. And what's the negative? The term conspiracy theory has been like to use to label. It has gone too far where like if you just question a mainstream narrative, you're a conspiracy theorist. And actually, I haven't even proposed. I'm not most of the time. I'm not even proposing a theory. I'm just questioning the theory that I mean. That's a theory too, right? I mean, it's like that's a conspiracy theory. Whatever it is, 9/11, COVID. Those are all theories. I mean, there was somebody conspired, right? It wasn't just a random accident. These things, there are people make decisions, and maybe it's a completely organic decision that was made in the, in the open on a whim, or it was made, against or with government officials. I mean, that's how decisions are made. We don't know what the thought process is, but I think we have the right to question decisions people make and actions people take. And that's mostly what I do. Is I love asking questions. So it's not even, I haven't even proposed a theory yet, and I could be accused of a conspiracy theorist at this point just for questioning the mainstream conspiracy theory. So that's I guess. But like you said, I mean, COVID has opened people up. I think a lot of people were asking questions, and they did try to silence people that were just asking questions, legitimate people. and it seems like they let some of the wackiest conspiracy theorists kind of out to try to brand them, and then but I think it's backfired, and now there's so many of the the most intelligent people that are out there are questioning just everything, right? Just question. That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, that's the nature of science. That's the nature of being, that's what makes us Homo sapiens sapiens. I mean, that's that extra, like, we question, we reason, we want to figure things out. So yeah, I think on that edge, yeah, I love it. I love questioning, even more than proposing theory. I like to propose a theory just as like again, more of a hypothesis, just like, okay, let's just suppose was this, and that's how science works. You actually create a theory and then you try to disprove it, and if you can't, then it kind of holds a little more water. It's never like guaranteed that that's what happened, but a lot of these mainstream theories definitely aren't holding the water, and I think we should treat every conspiracy theory like, let's put it up there, and let's throw everything we have at it. Let's try to disprove it. And
the way I look at it is actually pretty simple. We live in a hierarchical system. It's a hierarchy. I mean, not all, but most social animals, maybe all social animals, live in a hierarchy, as we do, as we humans do. And everyone aspires to go as high as possible on this hierarchy. And that's mostly for survival. The higher you go up, the greater your survivability is ensured. And the people at the very top are going to do whatever it takes to stay up there. And not only that, they're going to try to suppress everybody at the bottom, because that's how they stay up there. And they have a vested interest in basically oppressing, suppressing, controlling everybody. And so when we talk about conspiracy, it's what these people are doing. But they control the media, they control the government, they are the establishment, and they give us the narrative. And I think COVID gave people an opportunity to sit back and kind of think about this, because I think it's kind of exploded, these whole conspiracies. I mean, it's been around forever, but it has really exploded in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think it's not that difficult to understand human nature, and those people at the very top, and their desire to dominate and suppress people, put them in debt, which they've done. Just give them enough so that they won't rebel against them, which is what they've done, and to kind of keep the status quo in however which way they can. And that's just a monkey mind. That's just an ape mind. That's just, and it's the people, like I said, the psychopaths are the ones that get up there and who may stay up there. Someone like me, or maybe and you, would never behave this way if we get up there. First of all, we would never want to.
We don't really have the desire to get there too. So that's what
exactly. We have the desire, but even if we had the desire, by the time we got up there, we would be turned into psychopaths, because that's the only way to get up there.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we. I mean, I think
there are no benevolent.
We're on a scale of psychopathy from like absolute no empathy at all to 100% empathy, which is pretty hard to be completely in one. But there's a scale, and I think we can fluctuate based on our environment. But I was going to say one antidote to this is that, like you said, yeah, people rise to the top, but it might take them a lifetime, and their offspring aren't necessarily going to be psychopaths, even they were raised by psychopaths. And in fact, I believe that in some ways, they can be complete opposite. I think that we could have empaths be born out of these psychopaths. Sometimes a psychopath could raise their children to try to be a psychopath, might make them, push them more empathetic in a way. Like, I mean, look at parents and children. I mean, they're usually, you either want to you are either like your parents or you kind of revolt against them in different aspects. Like I look at like travel, like we traveled a lot and moved around, and that one brother is like, I'm tired of moving. I just want to stay in one place because he was kind of pushed to that. I actually kind of followed that mentality and wanted to travel around, although now I want to be in one place. I know that's a different characteristic, but I think a lot of our characteristics, I mean, think about a lot of our behaviors and stuff. It seems like we sometimes do, there's a fork and we're either are just like our parents or like exact opposite on all these things. And I think psychopathy is something like that too. I think when you look at family lines, I think that I think you can't help, and that's what's problem with like royal families and stuff. I think royalties actually can be a good system because that's the only way to have somebody that truly cares about your country and about the whole of the people. They'll throw some people under the bus because they have to be utilitarian to some extent, but they actually care about their country. I don't know if you can say that about any political leader. You know, they'll throw the entire country under the bus for personal gains. So, but then the problem with, you know, a kingdom and a royalty that there's a bloodline is that you can't depend on that. And it changes dramatically based on the personality of that person. But, so these are kind of like that. I mean, yeah, what do you think that they, I mean, if they're true psychopaths, are they able to avoid it getting in the hands of somebody who isn't a psychopath?
No, I don't think someone who's not a, well, I'm loosely using the word psychopath. I guess I mean more like people who
have no.
I wouldn't consider like Biden necessarily a psychopath, but I would not want to be in a room with him because I would find him to be vile, or any politician at that level, because for them to get to that level, they have to sell their soul to the devil.
Sure. Sure.
These people are not. I don't know how to get up there, to get to those highest levels. I had a girlfriend once who she was in a room with the president of Yemen, and she said, "I felt like I was in a room with a snake. You know, like a poisonous snake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the energy these people give off. You know, you might think, oh, they're really nice and charming, and they can be. Obviously, they can be very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think deep down inside, for them to get to that level and to maintain that level, it takes a certain deviancy, a certain a way of being ruthless. You know, at a drop of a dime or whatever. You know, the drop of a hat. It's just not normal. It's just not normal. Anyone who wants power is sick.
And no, and that's what's funny. That's what I mean. Of course, we're in Thailand, so we have a law against defaming the monarchy. But so that's a disclosure. Obviously, I can't speak badly against that. That wouldn't be good for my personal well-being. But I actually think that what's interesting about a monarchy is that you're basically giving control to a completely random person, which is almost better than giving it to somebody who is elected by a democracy, which is obviously corrupted by all of these factions. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of funny how we almost should do. I mean, it's a funny thought experiment to see. I mean, to do something like that, but to think about. But I don't think it should stay in the bloodline. And also, I mean, there should be more. You know, it's better for genetically and biologically to have
the problem
a bigger gene pool, but I almost think that we should just give the I mean, but then of course ineptness and stuff. I mean, we do need a meritocracy. These people need to be like capable. Obviously, we need intelligent people, so there needs to be some sort of criteria where they're tested on their certain characteristics. But I don't know. I do have this envision of this meritocracy, but there has to be some sort of randomness to picking somebody that has these qualities that we can trust them, that they'll make decisions based on the whole of the people, and not have any benefit. Which, of course, in a monarchy, there is, of course, a lot of benefit. They'd almost have to lose their status after a certain amount of time. I don't know. I don't want to. Yeah, we can go away from trying to create the perfect political system, but I'm always trying. My mind is always thinking about how could you create something better than we have. I mean, because we're trying to fight, you know.
Well, if you look at science fiction, like maybe a couple of 300, 400, 500 years in the future, um, it could, the whole system could be run by AI. I mean, if we could design an AI
Well,
that is such that it's benevolent, that no individual has preferences, um, and gets better treatment or whatever. And actually, the whole government is run by AI, so that
yeah,
there's no individual or individuals involved, and everything is run by AI, and the people are just free to be, who they want to, who they choose to be, and to create and develop whatever they want. But that AI would be like the Constitution that, like the founding fathers in America,
yeah. If we could get it,
came up with, yeah, and it could be modified over time.
yeah.
Um,
Well, like you said,
but
that's dystopia or utopia for sure. I mean,
yeah,
you can see how that could terribly go wrong if
yeah,
the
could go
wrong
wrong.
people
Yeah.
wrote the code for it. But absolutely, that I do think that's I fancy the idea. I also to throw this is like, I'm not saying this is the way it is. This is like conspiracy theory, but I like throwing theories out there. I think about it sometimes, and you've mentioned it sometimes before. When we see technology, we know that technology has already existed for 20 years, maybe much longer. If it's alien technology, who knows? But basically AI, what we have access to, which is pretty amazing, what we've seen just in recent times, we could say that what if AI is already running the system, but it was programmed. They just I feel like there's these different knobs: maximize profit, maximize environment, maximize human well-being, and it's just maximized to profit for right now. Now, of course, so in some ways, that the decisions that are made aren't even consciously thought, and they don't even recognize how they might harm society, but it's just whoever has the controls has maximized it to profit or something, to profit themselves, which, I mean, it would make sense. That is kind of what we see, but it makes it a little less nefarious. It wasn't like people knowingly, I mean, look at atrocities, even, I mean, from everything that we've just seen in Israel, of course, that we think, okay, how could a breach like this happen? Well, if the switches were to maximize profits, and it wasn't like it was planned, it wasn't like there were actors that would let something like that go down. But if AI were running the system and it were to maximize profits, and the people that are going to profit from war and profit from all of these things, and that AI could already be running at least a large part of social and government decisions, political decisions, are actually that these political leaders are just puppets, and they're just pulling levers, and they're not actually even intelligent enough to know what these decisions, the outcomes of these decisions. So, I mean, like, you look at George Bush's face in that one, I think it was that, what was that? One of the documentary guys, fat dude that's like kind of, first one that kind of proposed the, what?
Dick Cheney?
No. He was like a not a very well groomed character that did the kind of conspiracy theory about 9/11, that it was an inside job, like way back when.
Alex Jones? But Alex Jones?
No. Before, well, Alex Jones was around during that time, but he was kind of a mainstream conspiracy theorist.
Oh, okay.
He did. I think it was Fahrenheit 9/11. Fahrenheit 9/11. What was his name? He wore glasses. He was kind of
yeah, I know him.
And but personable. Looks like a regular guy you'd see walking around in the Midwest. Yeah. Like didn't really shave well. I mean, I'm not talking bad about him. I'm just describing his character. A regular, maybe collared T-shirt.
I know him. I found his name too. Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
So anyway, I remember him like focusing on what I saw when it looked at George Bush's face when supposedly, I don't even know. Supposedly he was when the planes hit the towers, he was reading to like a kindergarten class or something. So, and you see the secret agents come in and whisper in his ear, and then he like stops, and you see this dazed look. It wasn't a look like, it was like, oh shit, that's what happened. So it's almost like some people were thinking like, that that when these horrific again, like the breach that we just saw in Israel, it's not like I don't think people knew what was going to happen, but they might have done some things that would let something happen, and they didn't know what would happen. George Bush might not even known what he let happen, but he did make some decisions somewhere along the line that he may have realized, like, oh shit, I'm responsible for that, not knowingly. But so anyway, again, there could be an AI aspect already at play that people are just pushing switches. So I don't know. Yeah, I went on a long
Well,
rant.
the AI is definitely running a lot of financial stuff. That's for sure. Like a lot of the trading, a lot of the stock trading and
Yeah, all
bonds.
it would take is connect the financial to political decisions. Who, why would the banking only care about this if it can
Right.
somehow connect to and know, okay, this political decision will earn revenue for these companies, and people just go, okay, and they have no idea what they just unleashed. I mean, that some horrendous stuff that you're like, no, nobody could do that. Our president, our prime minister, there's no way they would do that, and maybe they wouldn't actually be capable of making those decisions. Maybe they would, but maybe it wasn't. They didn't make the decision. They just made a connection between, again, profit. I don't know. So
Well, yeah, AI basically it's just looking at all the variables, and it has a plan, and based on those variables, like you said, if it's profit, then it looks at all the variables
yeah,
and it makes a decision. If the decision is to make profit, if the decision is to whatever, yeah, I guess profit. Really, when it comes down to it, you're right. It's all about profit. Who benefits? That's really what it comes down. That's you see, it's the problem is that humans have not evolved enough yet. We are still in that survival mindset. We're still in that mindset of scarcity, in that mindset of it's me or them. So once we have to go past that. We have to get to a point where I think if everyone feels that their security and their safety, security, and their needs are met,
yeah,
there's no need for animosity and hatred and jealousy because most of that negative, all that, well, probably all of the negative emotions stem from
fear
that fear. Yeah, fear, fear.
I mean, I mean, it's hard to make blanket statements like that. I can't think of something off top that isn't directly or indirectly related to fear. I mean, that's kind of is the opposite of love.
Yeah, exactly the opposite of
I
love.
learned that from you. Actually, you're the one. Yeah, you've given me a lot of spill. I've learned a lot from you, and I sometimes think they're my own thoughts, but actually, I got that from you.
Well, I
Well,
probably
you
got
got
it
that
from
from the
somebody
Buddha, I
else.
think. But yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, Buddha. He's right about a lot of shit. I'll tell you that, man. I keep finding that out. Sometimes, I mean, I'm like, yeah, okay, this guy's he actually, yeah, he's onto something,
Well,
man.
it was the Dalai Lama book. Unfortunately, it turned out the Dalai Lama was kind of a creepy guy, but
No, really creepy. But I mean, things happen when you're old. I mean, that absolutely, like, take him out, like, put him in a special home, like, yeah, for sure. I mean, that guy was definitely. I don't, but yeah, it's. I mean, there's could easily be some, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's
but I learned Buddhist a simplified version of Buddhist philosophy from the Dalai Lama. Now, of course, he never wrote a book himself,
yeah,
but he gave a lot of lectures. He spoke to a lot of people, and then those people turned his speeches and
yeah,
interviews into books.
yeah.
And The Art of Happiness is the book that changed my life. And I read that book
Okay.
way back in 2000 and I won't say four, maybe even before that, over probably 20 years ago. And that book is really, really opened up my mind to it what it takes to be happy, really, because it's the art of happiness, and it teaches you how to be happy, which basically is to again go from fear to love, and then to And to go to love, you have to meditate, because meditation is what calms your mind. And when you calm your mind, then you're able to feel more at peace. And when you're at more peace, it's easier to move towards love. And then at that stage, when you're meditating and you're peaceful and moving towards love, that's you're in that alpha state of mind. And that's when you start reprogramming your mind. You just tell yourself, I'm becoming, more patient, more loving, more giving, more honest, more magnanimous, more accepting, more tolerant. And that's what I do. To this day, I do this.
What does magnanimous mean?
Magnanimous means uh,
magnet, like magnet. That's the root
word? No. Magnanimous means I can't even think of the word. To be giving of yourself.
Okay.
To be giving of yourself. Yeah. In any way, form.
I mean, like.
In any way.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
But basically, that's what I do. I just, like I said, I do this. I did it today. I do it every day. I just reprogram my mind, and it goes into the subconscious. And eventually you start believing it, even if you're not. So if I tell you every day, CD, you are so patient. You're so patient. You hear that every day from me. Well, pretty soon you're going to
stop telling me that. No.
Pretty soon you're going to start believing it, and that's, that's what your child is a good example. You tell him whatever you want every day, he'll start believing it. And then it go to his subconscious, and he won't even know this there. And then, he'll just operate from that in that way. So after all, 90% of more, maybe 99% of what we do is just subconscious. So, but it has to get into the subconscious first, because we're not born with much of a subconscious, if any, I don't know. But we were born with a certain personality and in certain ways, I guess. But the problem with the whole thing is that we develop our subconscious, our way of thinking, our way of being when we're children. And when we're children, we just don't have the maturity to develop it in the most positive way, to develop it in the best way, unless we're very fortunate.
You mean, but I mean, with loving, caring,
unless we're
knowing parents. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. If we're very fortunate, and 99.99% of us are not, because our parents weren't, and their parents weren't, and their parents weren't. But if we're very super fortunate, then we would have those parents who would give us that, and not just the nurturing, but the positive, loving, and just telling them, you're smart, you're caring, you're tolerant, you're patient, all these things.
I think what's a shame about that, though, I think every generation will improve slightly, but then it could take one incident, it could
absolutely
you could erase generations of
easily.
you could be had great parents, and then whatever things happen in your life that change you, and you're a terrible parent. But I would say I'm pretty lucky. I mean, I think I came from a line. There weren't too many. I mean, it improved. I would like to believe that I'm a little bit better than my parents. I mean, especially my mom. I think she did an amazing job with my development. She was very just mindful on how she raised me, and she talked to me a lot, and so I'm applying almost everything that I've learned from being raised by her to raising Gaboga, and also tweaking a little bit in ways that I could think that she could have done a little better, which isn't many places, and I believe that without terrible events that would cause Gaboga to not do that, he's going to remember how he was raised, and he'll be able to tweak it a notch higher, and correct a couple things that I might have made, but recognize that, wow, he did a pretty good damn job, and he just should have done it like this and this and this and this, and then boom. And so, but then you could lose it all in a generation, and it definitely. So yeah, I definitely want to stay on a positive note. There's a couple things I need to do if there's any lasting things, because we did go through some dark avenues. We went positive and negative. Let's keep it positive. If there's anything else to add, or you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It is generational for sure. It's definitely generational. Whatever we're experiencing was passed down from 7 generations back or more.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely, for sure. All right.
For sure.
Well, all right.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you next
Week,
week, I guess. Same, maybe Thursday is could be better.
Thursday, whatever.
I mean,
Thursday,
we'll
Friday,
see. Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. We'll play it. We'll play it up. All right, brother.
Okay, brother.
All right. Love
Love you,
you.
man.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Aloha.